Hello, amazing, beautiful people. My goodness, it's so exciting to be here. Here we are in week 9 of Life by Design, Not by Default. And I hope you've enjoyed the last couple of episodes where we've talked about the evening routine and the morning routine. It's all about routines and habits and what we do in our lives. And today we're going to talk about habit stacking. But first we need to look at habits because we want to know that we're building on strong foundations. And habits are the things that you do or I do regularly, often without applying too much thought, without thinking too much about what we're doing. Habits for me are like systems. They're like the foundations and the pillars and the trusses that we use as frameworks to build our lives. As with all projects, it's important to start with the end in mind. So it's important to look ahead and go, actually, where do I want to be? To know who you are and where you're going so that you know what you're letting yourself in for. And when you're building a building, like a genuine building, first of all, you kind of need to have a vision. You need to have a picture of what that's going to look like. And often then, from that sort of dream or vision or idea, you get an architect in, and he then starts to put together, or she puts together like a technical drawing of what it might look like. So exciting. And in with that, we start to see what materials might be used, how much time it might take, what the investment's going to be. And so it's really key to start with the end in mind, just like God did. It's flipping brilliant, just quietly. So when we know our identity and purpose, when we know why we're here, what our purpose is, like what your assignment is, what is it that you can do that no one else can do, where you make a real difference in this world. Woo! It's like gold, because then stacking and tracking your habits and stacking them straightforward. So using the building analogy, your foundations are the current habits that serve you well. So if we want strong foundations, we want to build on a rock, we don't want to build on sand, we don't want things to fall over, we want things to be strong. And so it's about what habits are really helpful that you do now, and there might be some unhelpful ones that we need to change. But right now, we're going to look at the helpful ones. Let's stack on the good stuff. And that could be anything that we discussed in the morning or evening routines that you found helpful in the last couple of episodes. They might be habits, new habits that you are stacking onto old habits already. It could be things like basics, like, the habits that you've got of maybe you jump straight out of bed. Maybe in the morning you get up and you always make your bed. Maybe you always brush your teeth. Maybe you always go for a run. But there are things that you will do in your day. Some people have breakfast, some people don't. Some people have coffee, some people don't. Whatever it is, what are the things for you that you do every day, almost without thinking? It's just autopilot. You just get up. This is your routine. This is what you do. These are the habits. And we want to stack on the ones that you're most committed to, the ones that are good and most committed to. So for example, stacking is adding to things we already do to make it easy. It's all about making life easy. I want the best life, but I don't want to make it hard for myself. I want it easy. I don't want an easy life, but I want my life to be simple and straightforward and stress-free. So I start with the habits that are good. So for example, let's have a wee look. So if I want to be fit and healthy, but my habit is to eat everything that gets put in front of me, regardless of its nutritional value, then that habit is not serving being fit and healthy. And actually, if I eat anything that was put in front of me, it's probably not going to make me fit and healthy either. So identify the ones that help you. So for example, when I'm thinking about the ones that help me, or the ones that we've done relatively recently in my life, I was always struggling until I met Teresa Kowalczyk a couple of years ago, and I've lost a huge amount of weight. I actually put a wee bit on, but anyway, we're not going to worry about that right now. I was struggling to consume 2 liters of water a day. Part of the fact that I was putting on weight is that I wasn't hydrated, and I needed to make sure that I was drinking that every day. And so one of the habits that we stacked, I brush my teeth twice a day. Brilliant. Have a glass of water next to my toothbrush, filled and ready to go. So it's less than 8 seconds for me to implement drinking that. Then I refill it, ready for the next time. So each time. So there we go. 250 mils in the morning, 250 mils at night without thinking. It's 500 mils. That's, oh my goodness, that's a quarter of what I needed to do. And then the next habit that I looked at that would help me is I do quite a lot of Zoom meetings or recordings or whatever it might be. And so 5 minutes before each Zoom meeting that I have, I go and boil the kettle and make 2 cups of tea. One is a cup I'm going to drink straight away. And the next one is in the keep it a hot cup so that I get 2 cups out. So that's another 500 mils. By the time I've done 4 of those, 4 meetings, boom, I've nailed between the two. I've nailed it. I've done 2.5 litres each day. I've even put some margin in. How cool is that? Or another habit that I've got that is good for me is walking the dog twice a day. Gets me out, it gets me moving. I'm out in the fresh air, I'm out in the sunshine, bring it on. Sometimes I'm out in the rain, I guess, but I'm exercising. But what I love is listening to podcasts or reading books. Books take a little bit longer. And so what I do in the morning is I listen to a book or part of a book until I finish that book. And then I might go on to another one. And I have one ear in and one ear listening to the world around me, to say good morning to people, to say hello, to interact with my world while I'm taking in some great information. So those habits, I get a double portion. One is the exercise. 2 is listening to some really good stuff. So that makes me joy. But I don't just walk the dog in the morning. I walk the dog at night. So at night, it's a podcast because they're nice and short and sweet, generally for me. And the other is I love catching up with my kids, but I don't want to ring them every day. That would do their head in. So it might be a podcast one day, might be one of my children another, might be a podcast for the next 2 days, another child, whatever it might be, but connecting with people that I love. So the evening walk is about people I love, or sometimes God says, here, phone this person. That's my time to give them a call. And the morning is about podcasts, or is about reading books. So it's kind of, it just stacks it on. And then I just feel like I start and end my day with such power. It's back to those evening and morning routines again. But habit stacking is about living life intentionally. It's about living life by design, not by default. It's about reviewing your habits regularly and adding value day by day. And here's a new habit stack for me. My goodness, it's only been like, oh, what are we at? We're about 6 weeks now in. So I facilitate an amazing group of people live in our local town, Hastings, for brilliant small groups. And we're learning about the fruits of the spirit, and we're ducking and diving and having fun and having some great discussions. And I do that on a Tuesday morning. And then an opportunity came and a door opened for me to host a radio show with Phil Aitken. And he's got the most amazing radio voice, by the way, team. If you want to listen to someone super cool, he's the guy. And so guess what I did? We stacked it one on top of the other. We do the brilliant small group because we're both there for that. And then boom, we're literally 5 minutes up the road straight into the studio to record the show. And so every week I do one, do the other, do one, do the other. It happens without thinking. And we have got into a flow really quickly by just having that system in place, that habit in place, that we know that that's what we're going to do. So I ask you, what are your best habits and habit stacks? What habits have been gold for you? I would love to hear from you, because together everyone achieves more. So I'd love to hear what your habits are. What brings you joy? What is in alignment with who you want to be? And next week, we're actually going to look at the concept of it is done. Winners have done lists and losers have to-do lists. It's all about the gap or the gain. So I'm going to open that up. I want you to be winners. I want to share with you about done lists. And if you're curious about hearing our radio show, go to radiohawkesbay.org.nz/programs and just search Pass the Message On. And honestly, we have so much fun. It's quite different from what I do here, but it's just great to hear people, to know what's happening. We've done some interviews, had a great one for Mother's Day, and with Holly Antonson, the most amazing artists that we've got locally. So I love you, God bless you, and I genuinely look forward to seeing you next week. Have an amazing, God blessed week. Thank you for listening.